I've recently been playing a new game with lots of classes, specialization options, and builds. This is Tarisland, a classic MMORPG now available on both PC and mobile, featuring raids, PvP, a vast world for exploration, and of course a diverse class and build system. So I've been asked to create a new beginner guide to help you get started on your Tarisland journey. In this video, we'll be reviewing every class in the game, including their themes, group roles, and abilities, plus which classes are best for beginners so you can get off to the best start possible. Big thanks to Tarisland for sponsoring this video, and let's get right into it, starting with those classes and their specializations. Now in Tarisland, there are 9 unique classes to choose from with a variety of themes. Many options will be familiar to you if you've played other MMOs such as The Elder Scrolls Online, Final Fantasy XIV, or World of Warcraft, but there are some surprises here as well. Also, each class comes with 2 unique specializations to help you customize your build further into specific roles for various MMO gameplay mechanics like DPS, tanking, and healing. So make sure to pay attention to these options as well before picking your first class. But let's start with one of the most basic classes you can play in Tarisland, the melee-focused warrior. Warrior's 2 specializations are Wrathful for a more DPS-focused approach, or War Tank for, you guessed it, tanking. A Wrathful warrior can build up rage to empower their abilities and cast skills like Frost Slash to deal basic physical damage, or Blade Cyclone for a spinning AoE attack. And then of course you have the War Shield specialization, which is the tank focus for this class with skills like Shield Bash to reduce enemy damage. Overall, the warrior class will be a great option for those that want to deal brutal melee damage or help their group by tanking more difficult bosses. Next up we have the Barbarian Fighter, another melee class similar to the warrior, but with a more elemental themed focus. Now that's because barbarians can harness the power of both frost for tankiness or lightning for greater DPS, which combined with their frenzied fighting style makes them a force to be reckoned with on the battlefield. For example, you can use the barbarian's twin axes with skills like Wild Strike or Cyclone to shred your enemies, or as a tank, use Frozen Strike to heal yourself and grant a shield. Whichever way you choose, this class is definitely dynamic and fun to play. Let's move away from melee classes briefly and take a look at some ranged options, starting with the Mage class, which you can specialize into either Frost Magic or Flame Magic, whichever style you prefer. Starting with Frost Magic, you'll gain some powerful magic spells here, including Snowstorm and Arctic Icicle, or if you prefer the Fire Magic approach, you can gain access to Fireballs and Flame Tornadoes to burn your enemies to a crisp. Either approach is going to give you a powerful ranged damage build that excels at both single target and AoE damage, and can easily be one of the highest DPS classes in a group scenario. And another ranged option you might be interested in, especially if you prefer group content, is the Priest class, which has their own offensive capabilities that deal magic damage with their Divine Retribution specialization. This includes powerful skills like the AoE Holy Blast, which damages all nearby enemies and also reduces your cooldowns. But of course there is also a healing focused build when you specialize in Divine Grace, and this is going to let you access some powerful single target and group heals, which will be a huge benefit to you and your group for endgame dungeons and raids. Definitely something to consider. Now, speaking of healing, that brings us to one of my favorite classes, the Paladin. The Paladins are going to be a great option for beginners, as well as experienced players, as they can specialize both in DPS and tanking, and it's great for both solo and group content. For example, skills like Flying Shield do both damage and grant you your own damage shield, while the skill Trial of Rage boosts your critical rate and your attack speed, which is a huge benefit to combat. Now, a great option for a starter class, in my opinion, is going to be the Ranger class, which offers a lot of speed as well as versatility, and obviously you can fight from a distance, which can be extremely helpful. Now, in this case, the Ranger specializations are Hunting, which focuses more on the bow and specific arrow types, with skills like Rapid Shot and Sniper Shot. But then you also have the Tamed Beast specialization, which focuses more on summoning creatures to aid you in combat, like Hornet Shot and Summon Animal Companion. Either way you go, this class is definitely dynamic and a fun way to approach combat, and it is one of my favorites. Next up we have the Bard class, which can specialize in DPS, known as Solo, or as a healer, known as Harmony. The Bard is also a ranged class typically, so you'll be doing damage or healing, mostly from a distance, using your harp and other musical instruments. Now, generally, you'll find the Bard has many skills which have some sort of utility, like Passionate Play, which can boost your attack power, or the Song of Life skill, which reduces all damage taken by your party members, while also increasing their attack speed. Again, very useful for group scenarios. Next up, we have the Shadow Swordsman, which is a unique melee DPS class that can specialize in either cunning or dueling, Now, Cunning here is going to allow you to stack up poison damage and eventually execute some major blows against your enemies with skills like Fatal Strike, which do huge bursts of damage. Now, the Dueling focus is going to give you more ranged and stealth options like throwing daggers, for example, that increase your attack rate. And finally, we have one of the most interesting classes of all, the Phantom Necro, which can specialize in DPS, utilizing Soul Snatch, or they can specialize in healing with the Soul Healing specialization. Now, keep in mind that both of these options for the Necro are going to be ranged focus, with skills like Soul Arrow and Bone Spirit dealing damage, and skills like Soul Link or Soul Draw being used for solo or group healing, whichever you prefer. But with all these options for classes, you might be wondering which are going to be the best for a beginner. Now, if you want to keep things simple and like a more in-your-face approach to combat, I definitely recommend starting with the Warrior class. The Warrior is about as simple as it gets in Tarisland. Your combos and abilities are easy to manage, and your dual blades do feel great and very impactful in combat, so I do recommend them. Plus, you can play this class as either a DPS or a tank, so there's some great flexibility there, whether you want to play solo or in group content. But I think the ultimate class for group utility, along with simplicity, has to be the Priest. With your faith-based magic, you'll fit right in to any group or raid situation and be highly desired for your powerful heals, utility, and buffs. Plus, you have plenty of offensive firepower if you do ever need to go solo, so that is not a problem. But like I said earlier, one of my favorite classes and what I recommend for beginners as well is the Ranger class. Now, Rangers in Tarisland have a lot of utility and speed, plus an interesting ranged fighting style where you can choose to focus purely on your bow and arrow, or you can mix in some of those animal companions that we mentioned earlier to make things a lot more interesting. Whatever themes and playstyles you prefer, there's bound to be something in Tarisland that is perfect for you. But let's talk next about what you'll be doing in the game. With a massive map to explore, there's obviously a lot to engage with here, whether you're wandering through forests, exploring deep caverns, or beautiful cityscapes. Another key component is also dungeons and raids, many of which have powerful bosses and unique mechanics that you'll need to learn in order to be successful. Now, I've really enjoyed the dungeon experience in Tarisland so far. Most dungeons above level 10 or so will actually have multiple bosses that you'll need to defeat to progress through the dungeon. And as I said, there's many unique mechanics that you'll need to learn, whether it's getting multiple ad waves at a time that you'll need to deal with, dodging AoE or ranged attacks from the boss, even getting turned into a sheep at one point and having to avoid damage. There is a lot of variety here, which I found pretty entertaining. The game even starts you off in a full-blown dragon raid where you'll need to avoid waves of fire and even share your damage to reduce the impact of a powerful meteor strike. So as I said, every encounter is uniquely designed, it's engaging, and you'll have to learn how to deal with these mechanics in order to be successful. And as an MMO, Tarisland also rewards you just for logging in and playing the game. For example, right now there are tons of ongoing live events, from dungeon championships to dragon slaying tournaments, and also daily login rewards like the Perks Express login reward system, where if you log in 7 days in a row, you can receive the Logic Cat reward, or leisure time events where you can earn points by just exploring the game world and redeem them for a free unicorn pet, or the Invite a Friend promotion where you can earn a rare mount completely for free just for inviting your friend to play the game. Now, don't forget that Tarisland is cross-platform between both PC and mobile devices, so you can log in and play no matter where you are. And the in-game store is chock full of cosmetics for making your character look fantastic, like the new Heart of Luin set with its magical fairy theme and glowing trails of butterflies that follow you everywhere you go, or the dark and mysterious Mesmerizer set, which calls on powerful spirits for an even more impressive look. All of which are available through the in-game market, so make sure to check those out as well. And once again, big thanks to Tarisland for sponsoring this video and inviting me into their world to explore this week. Remember to download Tarisland now using my link down in the description or the pinned comment below to get started. This brand new cross-platform MMORPG is available worldwide now, so go raiding with your friends or explore anywhere on your own, and don't forget to invite a friend to get that free mount. But as always, I hope you're doing well. Stay safe out there, and I will see you around in the next video.